This is the Book Deal Podcast, a podcast all about inspiring and motivating writers.
Where we interview seasoned and debut authors about their own writing, from the blank page to the book deal and beyond.
We hope these stories will help you to stay positive, focused, and carve your own path forward.
I'm Madeleine Cleary.
And I'm Tina Strong.
And this is the Book Deal Podcast. The Book Deal Podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and waters which it's recorded on and pays respect to their elders past, present, and emerging.
Oh, Madeleine, we have a lot to discuss today.
We do.
I really don't know where to start with you. You've been busy. You've had a
I
lot.
have been busy. It's been a crazy fortnight.
The last time we chatted, you weren't feeling very well, were you?
No.
You just got back from Bali.
Yes.
And, had what we thought was Bali belly, but turns out not to be the case, does it?
No, I was 2 days away from being hospitalised with appendicitis after our chat. So, yeah, that was a fun experience. But I'm all good, everyone. I'm completely well, back home and well.
So while you're at home suffering appendicitis that you didn't yet know about, though, who would have imagined that when you're sitting there in pain and discomfort that you'd get a phone call from Caroline Overington?
I know, it was wild. And this is probably TMI for our listeners, but I'd just come back from the toilet. I was lying in bed. It was a Monday. I should have been working, but I was super, super sick. And so I was just about to go to sleep, back to sleep. It was like 9:30 a.m. And my phone rang and it was an unknown number. And I have this thing where if it's an unknown number, sometimes I'll just let it ring out and then I'll Google it. I think that's the thing our generation do.
Yeah, I do it. Mm-hmm.
The anxiety about, who's on the other side. But for some reason I was like, oh, I better answer this. And on the other end. So I was like, hello. She's like, oh, hi, this is Caroline Overington. I'm the literary editor at The Australian. I was like, hi. And she's like, so I did find out the week before that I was on the shortlist. So HarperCollins had contacted me for the Australian Fiction Prize.
So you had been shortlisted for the Australian Fiction Prize.
Yes, which is incredible. Very exciting. So I did know, but I didn't know that when Caroline would be calling. So they said, just a heads up, Caroline will be calling. And so I then had this very rapid fire 2-minute interview with Caroline where she was asking me all the questions about my writing career, and I was trying to think through some interesting things to say. And then she said, and I told her about my new book, The Butterfly Women, for next year. She's like, okay, pitch me that. So I had this, I was like,
on the spot pitch.
In bed in my pajamas.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But I did it. And yeah, very exciting. Then I was in the paper on Saturday, which I've never been before. So it's all been happening.
The Australian as well. So so we wanted to talk today about competitions.
Yes.
And this is a really good reason to talk about them. Can you tell us a little bit about the Australian Fiction Prize?
Yes, so it's actually the inaugural prize. This year's is the inaugural prize. So originally, I believe there was the Vogels, which was for writers who are under the age of 35, and that's been running for years, and they've had some great success with that. But they thought this year they'll try something a little bit different. So, and that I think was with Allen and Unwin originally. So the Australian's now working with HarperCollins to create a new prize, and it's actually open to all writers, no matter how old they are and what stage of their career they're in. So if you're an emerging writer, if you're previously published before, it's open to everybody. So this year they received quite a number of submissions, which is fantastic. So I think it was about 500, which is great for the prize. And the winner gets to win a $20,000 cash prize plus a publishing contract, probably the most exciting thing, with HarperCollins, and an advance of $15,000. So it's a big, 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 exciting prize. And to be shortlisted was, such an honor, I think, for this is for my second book, not The Butterfly Women, but for my second unpublished book.
That's incredible. Incredible, Madeleine. I have so many questions about this. Don't really quite know where to start.
I feel like I'm being interviewed. This is really strange. This is going to be practice for next year, I think.
Yes, good, because I want to know questions, but not just me, but our listeners also want to know everything about it. So I guess So great prize, great
Mm-hmm.
competition.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And it's awesome, isn't it, that anyone can enter. So emerging
Mm.
authors, people who already have books that are established, and it's good practice, it's good exposure,
Mm-hmm.
and if being the actual winner is just that amazing prize that you mentioned. Can I ask why you wanted to enter, Madeleine?
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, so this is my second book. It's quite different, I think, to the Butterfly Women. It's a contemporary fiction book, and it's quite personal, I think, to me because it's inspired by some of the great female friendships that I've had over the years. And I guess taking a step back, so last year, this is the book I wrote in that hurry. I finished it in the plane to Japan, had that real sense of urgency when writing it, which is great. And I feel like when you've got a sense of urgency, the writing really flows really well. So I had that really nice period with this book. So I finished it in September last year. So I've actually been sitting on it for ages. And I think because I just wanted to put it on pause a bit while I was going through the editorial process with the Butterfly Women, I just let it sort of sit there. I, did a few edits, sent it around to a few people, got some comments and feedback. So it's certainly not something I finished and then straight away would submit to the prize. It's been, 12 months. And then I saw this prize come up, and most of the time, I think you might be in this situation too sometimes. Competitions and prizes I think are excellent. And I didn't even think about them for my first book. I didn't really know about them, so I didn't submit to it. But when I was like reading up about prizes and competitions, it's actually a great way to already generate hype and stand out a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Even a shortlisting
Mm-hmm.
is a really good way to get your book some exposure, I think.
Yeah,
And so, but a lot of competitions now we're no longer really eligible for because we're not considered
that's right.
emerging.
Yeah, that's right.
We're sort of on that track. So this one came up, and I thought, well, this is a great opportunity because it's open to everybody. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just submit it as just a backup, just in case. I'm not going to send it out widely. I'll just give it a try and see what happens. Really, obviously, respect HarperCollins Australia and some of the authors that they've published as well. So, they're a great, reputable publisher. So, yeah, I kind of forgot about it, just submitted it and forgot about it. And and then when and so the book, I think, I did a bit of research about what they were looking for the prize. And I think this particular book suited that because it's a women's story, it's about female friendships, it's about it's like growth, and there's a mystery, and
And dead bodies.
there's a a couple of dead bodies, there's a ghost. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, it sort of was written at a time where I was just observing lots of my female friends in their early 30s going through a lot. And so a lot of those stories were coming through. So I really wanted this book to have a lot of hype around it because I think it's a story that I really want out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably why I submitted it.
Yeah. And I think, did I see in their submissions or advertisement around the prize, the competition, that it's was also good for people who were already published but wanted to change uh tack? Did I read that? That was a
Yes.
specific thing that they had mentioned. If you've written something a little bit different or you want to change genres or something like that, it was.
Exactly. And that's
Mm.
exactly right, Tina. And this is something that I don't think we've spoken about on the podcast, but often, and it's definitely not my experience to date, but I have heard stories of people who want to try and authors who want to try and change genres. And they
Mm.
get a bit of resistance from
Mm.
their publishers or their agents because they're known in a certain genre. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're a crime writer and then you decide, actually, I want to go and write romance,
Mm.
maybe if you're a big name, then that's
Mm.
okay. You can dabble, but if you're trying to establish your career, it can be a little bit tricky. So for me,
Yeah.
jumping from historical to contemporary, it's not. I'm not saying at all that I've had any pushback at all about it. Everyone's been around me has been really super supportive about it, but it's nice to have a bit of, I think, support behind that when you do decide to go into a different genre, to say, hey, actually I can do this.
Yeah.
It's not just a whim.
Yeah, yeah, and you've got to write what you're feeling, don't you?
That's
If that
right.
was the book that, you were writing at the time that came to you, and you had to do it. How can you not write it? And yeah, it will find a home, I'm
Exactly.
certain. Yes,
And well,
especially
this
after
is
this.
it's amazing the shortlist because most of the shortlist have published books before, so they
Hmm.
are established
Mm.
writers. So, people are just looking for different ways and avenues. And the winner, so Catherine Johnson, who her book sounds amazing, set on Maria Island in Tassie. It sounds fantastic, and I'm so thrilled for her. I think she's published 4 books in the
Hmm.
past as well. So, I guess it kind of shows, doesn't it, that prizes competitions always look out for them throughout a
Hmm.
writer's career because
Hmm.
they can be really important, and the writing journey doesn't just stop when you find a publisher. Like, you're always searching for ways to make yourself stand out.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's a massive accolade, long listing as well. I don't know if they released a long
Mm,
list for, did they?
no.
No. So a lot of competitions release a long list as well, which is still really
Mm,
important, especially when you have hundreds and sometimes thousands of entries. It's if you're, say they have, I think, did they have 6 on the shortlist?
seven,
Madeleine,
seven this
7
year.
on the
Yeah.
shortlist.
Yeah.
So, and other competitions often maybe just have a handful. For number like 8, 9, 10, it's
Hmm.
great for them to know how close they got as well, don't you
I
think?
know. I
And
know.
it's something that you can put in your cover letter as well, in your query letter, sorry, when you're pitching to
Yes.
publishers that you've been longlisted or you've been shortlisted, all those sorts of things, or highly commended. All those sorts of things are really good because a lot of people, I know when I was first writing query letters, and this is something that I know a lot of emerging authors have questions about is, what do I put on there? I haven't got anything published.
Mm,
I haven't, I've got no books to put in there, and I don't work in, a literary field. What do I put in? Because, they do say for a query letter to sort of put, one paragraph towards the end, which is a little bit about yourself.
hmm.
And if you do have any accolades, to put it in there. And that's very hard at the beginning when you don't have anything. But if
Hmm.
you enter some competitions and get long listed, that's absolutely, or shortlisted, or even win, obviously. Yeah, it gives you something to put in there as
Oh,
well, or
for
a highly
sure.
commended. Yeah,
You could even get
okay.
a contract, even being longlisted or shortlisted. We've heard
Absolutely.
lots of stories of authors who haven't necessarily won the competition, but their
Hmm.
work's out there. It's being read by publishers. They've enjoyed it. They want to pick it
Hmm.
up. Because I
Yeah.
think competitions and prizes, at least this is what I've heard, is that often there's just a very small margin between the books that
Oh,
have been
absolutely.
shortlisted or even longlisted. It's
Hmm.
really hard.
Hmm.
I very much admire judges who have to judge and critique
Hmm.
work,
Hmm.
because I think it would
Hmm.
be really difficult. And often they're looking for a certain type of thing. And
Hmm.
we've talked in podcasts before about timing, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's not
Personal
necessarily
preference as
exactly
well.
personal
Mm.
preference. And they're looking for a certain thing for this particular award, but it doesn't mean they're not looking for your work
That's right.
and
Yeah, it
putting
could
out there in another way.
absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Madeline, like how did you feel when you found out you were shortlisted?
Okay, so because I was in Bali when I found out, and one of the publishers at HarperCollins, she tried to call me, but it mustn't have come through because I was overseas. And so she sent me this email, and I didn't have my phone on me. I was like by the pool. So that afternoon, I went back up to our room. I was just quickly checking my phone, saw this email, and it said the Australian Fiction Prize. I was like, oh, here's my rejection.
Here's my standard rejection letter. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what, and isn't that funny? That's just what the expectation is. I
Mm.
just was like, oh,
Hmm.
here's the rejection.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'd kind of forgotten about it anyway. So I was like, okay, here's the rejection. Opened it up, and it was, yeah, from Anna. And she said, couldn't get through. You must be overseas. Couldn't get through. Just wanted to let you know you've been shortlisted for the Australian Fiction Prize. The readers like loved your book. Like, it was a tough competition, but readers loved it. So yeah, massive. So I had to like so I read the email. I was like on my hands and knees in our hotel room, like reading it. And I was like in my bathers, and I was like, because we'd just been at the pool, and I was just trying to like comprehend it, because it's kind of like that first time when you get an email from the publisher who's saying, yes, we want to take on your book.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't quite register.
Yeah. You're like, does it say yes, loved it, but no thanks? How come I can't see
Yes.
that? What? No, I think it actually says yes, we want it. Yeah. Your
Yes.
brain's
Yes.
just not computing it.
It's not computing, and you're shaking and you're just doing some deep breathing exercises and you're like, is this real? And so I walked back down to the pool. My husband was there and he was in the pool and he saw my expression and he thought something terrible had gone wrong because I must have looked very pale
Yeah.
and in shock. And he's like, oh my God, are you all right? And I'm like, read the email, read the email. And his face just was like lit up. So that was pretty fun. So,
And then you
because I
ordered a
think
big bottle of champagne.
absolutely, absolutely. We definitely celebrated in Bali. So yeah, and then I couldn't really tell anyone until it all came out. So I
Yeah.
had to hide it for a little bit, only if it wasn't too long. And yeah, so it was really, really exciting. Almost on par to getting that initial
Yeah.
publishing email, but yeah, great feeling. Just to have like that bit of validation, you know, is
Yeah.
nice when you haven't really shown much of this work to anybody.
And that's what competitions can do as well, is
Exactly.
provide you that a bit of validation and give you a little bit of extra courage and motivation to keep going. So tell me how you felt when you found out that you didn't win.
Oh yes, that's a spoiler, everybody. I didn't win. I don't know if we sort of said that explicitly at the start. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Maybe this is the female in me, Tina, but I never had any expectation that I would win. As soon as I got shortlisted, I was like, okay, this is amazing, but I'm not going to win. I didn't have the expectation that I was going to win. So yeah, so actually on Friday, I think when I found out, I think they posted up on Instagram, I was really, really thrilled, genuinely, for Catherine. Like I think it's her book sounds incredible and I'm so excited to see it on shelves. And I think for me, the shortlisting was enough. I mean, of course, you always hold that little bit of, oh, it would be amazing if it did win. Of course, you can't not, we're all humans. But I was just excited to be shortlisted. And I think I was saying, like, this is the first competition I'd ever entered. And so to be shortlisted is huge. And I'm just going to bask in that moment.
Yeah, and so you should. Do you think it's a little bit of managing expectations and a little bit of self-preservation? Because I think that's only natural, right? And you just don't want to get your hopes up too high because you know that you'll be so disappointed if you I mean, I thought you were going to win. I was totally manifesting for you and you were all like, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to win. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to record the podcast because the title will be Madeleine wins the Australian Fiction Prize. And you're like, no, it's not. But I was totally manifesting for you. It's obviously not hard enough, but yeah, yeah, do you think it's just a little bit of managing expectations because you don't want to?
Of course. I mean, it would be amazing. But I just feel really grateful and lucky, I think, to be in this position. And I don't know if luck is something that is important in these types of prizes, but I think it does. Like it's it's almost that right timing kind of thing. Yeah. So I said it when I did say it wasn't just about managing expectations. I genuinely didn't think I was going to win, but I loved your messages anyway and your manifestation. So that was great. And I had so many people reach out. That was the best part, actually. So many people reached out and said congratulations, and that was really lovely. Like this community around us is so supportive and celebratory of the wins that people get.
Yeah.
And that I think was like the best part of this whole thing is just the support. From you and from everybody. So that was really lovely.
That's nice.
So what about you, Tina? What about your competitions? You've had lots of luck. Is it luck or in competitions too?
Is it luck? And you know what? It's just putting yourself out there though, isn't it, Madeleine?
Yes.
And we've had this conversation and I'm all for competitions as you
because you've won both of the ones that you've won both the competitions you've entered, Tina. Let's just celebrate that. That's a win. Hey, celebrate it.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, that's true. But you know what? I put myself out there and I entered it.
You did.
But, I didn't enter to win. There's lots of, like you said, with the Australian Fiction Prize, there's lots of good reasons to enter, and some of them are just honing your skills on creating, because you often have to do your log line. So, like, I don't know if you had to do this your competition. You often have to do your log line, a
What's that?
pitch,
What's a log line?
like your one-liner.
Oh, yes, I had to do
Yeah,
that. That
so
was
you
what
have,
was published in the
that's
Australian in the end.
right.
So make sure
Yeah.
everybody, that's a good top tip. Watch
Make
your
sure it's
log
good.
line or your pitch line, because it didn't no it was unedited, straight printed in the Australian,
Yeah, you
what I
never know where
submitted.
it's going to end up.
No.
See, so make sure it's you're putting your best foot forward with your one liner. So you've got your one liner,
Yes.
which we could do a whole episode on how to do a one
Yes.
liner. Pitches. So then,
Hmm.
like, often you have to do a short pitch. Then after that, like your brief,
Yep.
and then a
Synopsis,
synopsis.
which is the
And
hardest thing ever. How do you write a
mm,
synopsis?
mm, again, we could do a whole episode on that. And I think we
All
should.
right.
Let me write that down.
Yes,
We're going to do
let's
an
do that.
episode on your one liner and the
But briefly,
synopsis.
how do you approach writing a synopsis? Because
You
I
know,
have an approach, so I'm keen to know yours.
okay. I actually have started recently writing my synopsis. Oh, you're going to hate this. But first, before I've written the story, the whole book.
No, that's such a plotter to do. That's awful. Tina, that is awful.
But and when I say that I'm writing the synopsis, I'm not writing the whole thing, but I've actually found, and it actually helped me once with a manuscript that I got stuck on for my series that's coming out next year, my Wilder Zoo series. I got stuck on something, and you know what? When I came to writing the synopsis, it helped me work it out. Because
Okay.
I think the synopsis, because it's so high level and you're including everything, including the ending, because this is only the synopsis is meant to just be for the publisher,
Mm-hmm.
or your agent or the
Mm-hmm.
editor and so they need to know. There's no like secret ending, like they need to know the ending. So which is very different to what you put on the back of your book, like your blurbs and your promo material and stuff. So you have to put everything in there, and I think it helps you if you can't. And sometimes even just with the higher level pitch, if you can't up sort of like up the ante and tell the whole story in that little pitch or that synopsis, then you know that you've got an issue. Like, you know how normally you're sort of like, okay, this is the character, this is how their life normally is, and then this was the inciting incident, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, which helped them get to, and then this happened, which helped them sort of solve the problem or get to the end, or that's how they grew from the story. And if you can't do that in your pitch, then there's something wrong with your story. And I don't know, I've found that it's helped me find the holes and the problems.
But you
But
do that before you write the story.
oh, look, no, it's not like the very first thing I've written, but sometimes I have just as an idea, just to, and it can change.
That's
But as
horrifying, Tina. Horrifying.
it's still, but you know what? You're probably doing it too, sort of, but it's in your head. Like you're sort of thinking, oh, this is kind of where it's going. I'm just putting it on
No,
paper.
no idea. I have no
Honestly,
idea
not.
where,
Do you honestly not
honestly.
have any idea where it's going at all?
Generally not. I kind of have an idea of where it might end, and I don't know how they're going to get there though until
Yeah.
I write it.
See, and that's sort of the same with me. And even you can be like, create the character and the setting and the scene, and this is what you want at the end. And sometimes, this is some cool things that I think I can put into the story at some point. But yeah, it's just that middle bit,
Mm.
which is the hardest bit, I
The middle
suppose. But
is the bloody worst. Okay, so
oh,
just quickly, I've had to put down my work in progress. The appendicitis surgery hospital visit has completely ruined my creativity, I feel. So I've and plus adding in Bali, so it's been a couple of weeks, tried to pick it back up while I was still unwell. Couldn't get through the brain fog, couldn't break through. I feel like completely stuck. So and I'm in the middle. I'm like halfway. So I'm just going to put it down for a month
mhm.
and not work on it and just give myself some time, because the middle I think is the hardest bit.
Oh
But
yeah.
back on synopsis. Okay, so how do you
Tell me yours. Okay, so mine is just I don't really have a process, I don't think. I just sort
mm,
of, start with, setting the scene, and this is the like the main characters, and where they are in their usual sort of day-to-day life, and then moving on to sort of the inciting incident. This is the big thing that happened, and then these are all the complications that got in the way. This happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then it's then there'll be like a paragraph on sort of how they solve the issue, I guess. And then a wrap up, right? Yeah, which like I was saying before, which reveals the ending because it's meant to in your synopsis. Yeah, that's what I do, squishing it down into, I often try to keep that to one page.
Yeah, because I think synopses are supposed to be about 500 words, I think, generally. Most publishers, when you're querying, and particularly I think for this prize, it was about 500 words to the synopsis. And like you said, it has to be, revealing. And it's, I think, completely opposite for all authors to have to reveal the ending in something so cold and clinical. And often my synopses are very cold. It feels very cold. So what I had some really good advice, because I had no idea how to write a synopsis when I was originally querying Butterfly. And the best piece of advice was go through your manuscript, each chapter, and write the key things that happen in dot points in each chapter. And I'd never done anything like that before because, I don't plot and I don't have your fancy tools. So I was just working out of Word. So I went through, grabbed the dot points and then put that all into a fresh document and then put that into like a Word form and had maybe 1,500 words and then cut and cut and cut all the needless stuff. And I was trying to sort of explain, sub characters and all sorts of things, but you don't need that. Like, you just focus on the key driving things of the plot. And I do agree with you, Tina. When you do that, you get to understand your story much better. And so suddenly I understood what the story was about. And I don't think I'd even understood that until I did that in that process. I did once try to write a synopsis before writing a novel, and it killed the novel. I just never wrote it. I did
see, maybe that's a good thing, because what if you'd written the whole thing and got to the end and just been like, you might have just got to the end and been like,
I think I will write this book again. But at the time I was ready to write it, and so I wanted to pitch it to someone, and so I wrote out synopsis, and it completely killed for me the creativity
in it.
And so I just put it down and I was like, I'm not ready to do this now. But I think I will pick that book up again. But but
do you think it's just the middle? That's the issue? Because do you know how you want it to start and want it to end? But the middle is like the fun and games where all the good stuff is, right?
I don't know. I think it just takes the excitement out of everything. Middle, beginning, middle,
You're not motivated to write it if you know where it's going to finish.
No, exactly. Because I always write for myself. I just write whatever I want to read. And so I'm not writing for anyone else. And so if I'm taking the fun out of it for me, like, because I don't see this as a job.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. No, I don't.
It's fun.
It is just fun. It's super fun. And the other thing, again, we definitely should do a synopsis episode. But I was just going to say, one thing that with synopses is still putting a little bit of the voice in there as well. Like like you were saying, cold, and it should be pretty to the point. Nothing fancy, and always in third person as well, isn't it?
And present tense.
And present tense, that's right. Whereas I normally write first person.
That's interesting. Because I write third and present, so it's natural for me. But
but you know what? Writing the synopsis is natural for me it just automatically comes out third person present, like just because you just know that's what it's got to be. But with children's books, often first person is it just comes out first person for me when I'm writing it. But kids like first person just so they can get in the head a little bit more. It can be a little bit more appealing. So, but yes, it's a complete change from you writing one way and then having to do your synopsis third person, and dry, but still having a little bit of that voice right in there.
Yeah,
Like,
of
you know, you can
course.
just use so they get the vibe of the book, but
Yes.
certainly not, yeah, in the character's voice or anything like that. Um,
We should
okay.
share it. We should share synopses, I think,
Oh
Tina.
yeah.
That would be
Yeah, we
fun.
should. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, except it'll have the ending in it. We can't do that.
Oh no, okay. So we have to read each other's books and then we'll share synopses that we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
critique.
yes. I
Oh,
don't want to
that's
spoil
true.
it for you. Yeah. Oh no,
Am
but
I
we can.
getting a copy of the of Nick and the Missing Key, by the way? I'm
Oh my
hoping to
God,
get.
absolutely.
Yeah, I want to read it
I
before we interview you about it as well, and then I can then go and buy my pristine copy.
I am waiting for my I'm waiting for my copy. You know how you see all those unboxing videos? For
Yes,
anyone that's
yes.
an author or a emerging author, you probably know very well the unboxing videos.
They can be a bit
Um,
cringe, I must say,
they
but I
can
love
be a
them. But
little
I
bit
still
cringe,
love them.
but I remember just the first one I ever saw, and this was a while ago, just before I'd ever thought that getting published was a thing, and just literally tingles and tears in my eyes, just being like,
I know.
oh my God, this actually happens to people.
I
They
know.
actually. So yes, I'm excited for my box to arrive, and then you'll be one of the very first to get it coming.
Okay, I'm going to say something, Tina,
Okay.
because sorry, I know we're sort of going over time, but I want to. What I love to see in those unboxing videos is people before they show the camera actually looking at their own book
Yeah.
first, because I
Yeah.
find like people often feel like they need to perform and like show the camera first and then they
Hmm.
look at it. But like
Hmm.
I love it when people look at their book the first time and hold
Hmm.
it like that. I think is cool. So if you don't do that, I'll be judging.
Well, you're going to be with me though, because I'm going to do it. We're going to do it on the
Yes.
pod. We're
Oh
literally
my
going to unbox
God.
on the pod, and
Oh
then you
my
have to unbox on
gosh.
the pod too.
Okay, all right, that'll
Yeah,
be pretty fun. All right, that'll
that'll be
be a
fun.
fun
So I can
unboxing.
talk you through it, and
Yes.
hopefully that'll stop me from being cringe about a cringy video. Um, Okay, well, that was some good tips there about
Yes.
synopsis. There you go. I'm going to put a top tip.
Yep.
Synopsis writing, good practice. If
Yep.
you for entering competitions, it's good practice, and for when you want to submit to publishers. But of course, treat it like entering competitions like you are, and submitting it to a publisher.
Yes, that's
Um,
important.
it's very important because you know what, oftentimes publishers will read it, or you know, it's important. It's good practice. They may read it, and judges are going to read it, or it might end up somehow finding its way, like Madeleine's unedited one-liner in the paper or something like that. So that's super important, because I didn't even think for a second that a publisher would read mine
Mm.
when I entered my first competition, and it turns out that they did. So that's you know, take that tip from me. Always write it as well as you can, and I know it can be tricky, but we'll do an ep on that.
Yeah,
And we'll
for
try and do
sure.
some more practical tips. Can I ask, Madeleine, do you get judges' feedback from the Australian Fiction Prize?
I have no idea. I hope so, because that would be really exciting, I
Mm,
think.
yeah,
But I haven't heard anything yet, but
yeah.
I will definitely let you know if I
Hmm.
do. Did
Mm.
you get feedback?
I
I mean,
did.
obviously
Yep.
you won both the competitions you entered, so it was
Yes.
probably very good feedback.
But it's still, but you know, sometimes you don't get 100% in of scoring, do you? There can be a few little things here and there, but yes, it's really good to hear that feedback, and
Mm,
yeah, regardless of what it is. So that's always very helpful. So whether you win or don't win, it's always yeah, it'll hopefully, you know, point you in the right direction with
so
that.
what do you know off the top of your head some of the competitions available to emerging writers? Because maybe that's something we should put into our show notes because I'm aware of a few, like there's lots
Yeah.
out there, but maybe that's something
Yes.
we can kind of gather.
Yeah, we'll put some in the show notes.
Mhm.
And yeah, from now on, I think every time one comes up, we should shout it out,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
listeners can get ready to enter.
Well, I know that the Penguin Literary Prize will be opening shortly, I think in mid-December, and that's a big one, I
That's
think 20.
only literary fiction, though, is it, or is it all
Uh, I mean,
anything?
it's got literary in the title, but I
I
think it's
know.
open to
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah,
So hey, why not? Like
we'll
submit
find
it.
out.
if you've got even a hint of literary work in your book, and it's for adults, so adult fiction, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But these are all opportunities. You just don't know
Hmm.
what they're going to be looking for, do you?
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. Um, should we talk, Madeline, about this is our sort of last catch up, really, isn't it?
yes,
Before
yes,
Christmas, where
yes,
we're going
it
to have a bit of
is.
a break.
We are.
And
Not for very long though, according to the schedule that you've developed, Tina.
who would have thought I planned that, the schedule? No, that's right. But we have another really exciting interview that we'll be publishing
Mm.
the week after this
I
chat.
think we can say who, can't we?
Yeah, let's say.
Yeah, so we're both going to be interviewing tomorrow Ruby Ashby Orr. She's the publisher at a Fem Press, and she's my publisher. So we're going to be having a chat with her tomorrow. So that will come out, week's
Mhm.
time, and I'm very excited for that.
I'm
I think
so
it's going to be
excited.
great.
I'm so excited. So that'll be so much amazing information and tips for listeners. So that'll be next week. And then we're gonna have a bit of a break ourselves, but we're
Mm.
not going to be off the airwaves, are we,
We
Madeline?
won't. We won't. So we just like to keep ourselves busy, Tina. Uh, we're doing like a little, well, we don't have a name for it yet, but I think it's going to be a bit of a year in review with some of our 2024 debuts. There you go. There's a bit of a rhyme for you, Tina. And so we've lined up some, really great chats with a few of our 2024 debut writers just to hear about what their experience was like during the year, what tips they might have for us as well and for the 2025ers,
Mm-hmm.
and what's next for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And tips for aspiring authors as well,
Absolutely.
because they were all aspiring just a few years ago, weren't they? Until they got
Exactly.
their deals. So
Exactly. So that's going to be
so
fun. So we'll
2020,
air that over Christmas and New Year, won't we? We're going to
yeah. Yep.
record early and air them. So we
Yeah.
won't be off the airwaves. We'll still be on.
Yep. So if you want a little break from the Christmas from the Christmas hecticness, or yes, you just need a little nap after eating too much pudding, you can listen in to some actual the debuts from this year. So year in review with the debut crew. Oh gosh, there you
Oh,
go. I
love
should
it.
be a
There's our
poet.
title.
I haven't even thought about being a poet before. Awesome. Okay. Well, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Madeline, for giving us all that exciting inside intel on the Australian Fiction Prize, and congratulations again. It's such an amazing
Oh,
achievement.
thanks, Tina.
I'm so glad
Thanks.
you feel better.
I'm feeling a lot better than last week. So, yeah, and it was an interesting experience reading about yourself in the paper from your hospital
Mm,
bed.
hmm
Highs and lows, but
hmm
happy to be on the other side of that. And just excited, I suppose, for next year. And I've just loved doing this podcast with you, Tina, as well. Like it's been a joy. So hopefully we can bring all this back for next year, which is going to be an exciting year for both of us.
Yeah, we already have it pretty packed out for next year, don't we,
We
with
do.
guests? So very exciting. And it's going to be a huge year for us.
Huge, massive, but it's going to be fun. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Book Deal podcast. Please like, follow, or share this episode so we can encourage more aspiring authors.
And if you have a question you'd like us to answer or ask our guests, please find us on Instagram at The Book Deal or email us at thebookdeal@outlook.com.